Bonsoir tout le monde.
Bonsoir.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Selección Nacional Live with your co-host, Derek Etienne.
And I'm Daryl Etienne, and here we are again talking about all things Haitian national team. But this time, we're going to be focusing on the U20 national team as they're in preparation for the qualifiers that's going to be starting down at St. Kitts.
It's down in St. Kitts. They've been in camp for a whole week, and they're ready to kick off this weekend's tournament in this World Cup qualifying. And so this is a great opportunity for Haiti to bounce back on the national scene or the international scene, as we just dealt with the disappointing loss of the women's national team that from not making it into the Gold Cup. But now these young men, have an opportunity to show themselves strong in this region. And now these are games that we should not take lightly. If we've learned anything from the last game against Puerto Rico with the women, these brothers should not take the game lightly coming against the teams that we're playing against.
We said it before on the other broadcast. You have to come ready to play. It doesn't matter who you're playing against, whether you're playing against number one in the country, number one in the world, or whether you're playing against number 21, whether you're playing against 201. Doesn't matter who comes out on the field to play, who's coming out there to give their best. So that's what it's all about here.
And so Angelo Jean-Baptiste is the head coach of this U20 national team. He and his staff are down there in St. Kitts right now. Have you heard anything about the camp and how things are going? I know they had a couple of friendly matches. How do things go as they're preparing for this event?
They had a few friendly matches that take place. They tied both matches. They were up with the lead. Changes were made. Some, misfortunes with I think a penalty kick took place. Another miscommunication, and so they did well defensively. Just little few mistakes, but that's noted when you're at a camp and you're trying to get the chemistry and find the players.
Well, one thing we can say that they definitely, the federation got it right is at least we've got preparation matches before the event. So this is a good opportunity. Angelo Jean-Baptiste brought in 25 players into camp. There was a pre-list of about 60-something players. Narrowed it down to 25 players. And then the final list of 21 has now come out. So at least he had an opportunity before he narrowed it down to his final 21. They played 2 matches and he can see players. So he knows who's able to do what, who's able to compete, who's not of the level, who's not ready. And so that was good stuff.
I think that the main thing is that they had the matches. The coach is able to look. This is a pretty good group that he's put together. You know, there's a lot of scouts have gotten together, and his network, the coaches network with different scouts from all over the world of Haitian players, of young Haitian players that are playing over in Europe, players that is playing here in the CONCACAF region and the MLS Next. Players are playing in Division I colleges. I mean, we have players from all over that are in this group, and so it's an interesting group. Very athletic.
Let's take a look at the group. Let's take a look at the group, starting with the gardiens. Let's look at the goalkeepers. We have Marc-André Toussaint, who's coming from AS Capois, and we have Jeremy Sanon from Montreal, FC Montreal, and Jonah Garvin Mednard, who's coming from Wake Forest, but he also spent some time in PSG. Who do you think is going to be the number one going into this?
Clearly, it's going to be Jonah. Jonah Maynard is going to be the number one, in my opinion. He's another one of the players that trained at Etienne Soccer School. Another player that is a really good with his feet, good with his hands, shot stopping, good with distribution, nice height on him, good presence, communicates well. So I think that he's probably going to be the number one. However, Jeremy Sanon is good. All 3 goalies are good. So I don't know if he's going to split and get everyone a game, or is he going to just go with the strongest? But I think out of the group, Jonah is probably the strongest goalkeeper that they'll start.
I would think at this level of competition, you got to go with your best goalkeeper. And obviously second best is there just in case injury.
Now, here's the thing, though. Jonah just got to the camp this week, actually yesterday or today. So he hasn't
been a part of the preparation.
He has not trained. He has not done any of the
So
games.
was it Sanon who was in goal for the first 2, who started for the first 2?
So now we just don't know if he's going to go straight to Jonah, or they're going to ease him in. They have training stuff that's going to be taking place today and tomorrow. So it will be interesting to see. My gut feeling is they're going to still go with Jonah because he knew coming in.
He's got the experience. He has the experience playing over at PSG, and then finishing.
Training at PSG.
Training at PSG, and then coming over and finishing with a strong stint at Wake Forest. you know, he's got the experience that I'm sure that they're looking at as this is somebody that we want to be leading the squad. But Jeremy Sanon being at Montreal is not a bad backup goalkeeper,
right?
You know, and it's not to say that Mark Kinsley is not going to be able to push Jeremy to see who's going to be that number 2. So this is a good situation where, remember we talked about with the U17s there, we weren't sure about the depth in goalkeeping. But here we got 3 solid goalkeepers, Mackenzie, Jeremy, and Jonah. And I think that we should be confident.
If anyone goes down for any reason, be it injury, yellow cards, I think we'll be fine on the goalkeeping end.
Okay, so let's look into the defenses. All right, the goal is to have a solid back line that's comfortable on the ball, that's confident, that makes good passes, but that defends. You know, and so we look here. We have Rika Nel Sherry from Exefoot in Haiti, Jordi Montclair, who's coming from Sahel Football in France, Jalen Andre Vilcent, who's coming from Torrent Sport Club in Portugal, Anderson Joseph from Cavalli in Haiti, Mendel Francois from Union de Lera in Portugal, and your son is in there, Darryl Nicholas Etienne Jr. from Fairleigh Dickinson University here in the States. So a pretty good, strong lineup of defenders. I mean, looking at the profiles and the sizes of these defenders, they're all pretty big, strong, athletic. What do you what's your take on who's going to get that look in?
Yeah, it's again during the matches, everybody had opportunities to play, so I think that they all have impressed coach in their own way.
Yeah.
So now it just comes down to the coach's decision on, you know, I think he's probably leaning more towards those that have signed pro contracts, which is Mendel, that's in Portugal, and Jordi that are in Portugal. I think he may go with those as the two center backs. As the 2 center backs, and Darryl Jr. maybe we, you know, substitute off the bench. However, you know,
Darryl's going to give them a run because, you know, although, you know, he's chose to go the university route, he still has, you know, the quality to push these defenders as well. So that's good to have 3 solid center backs, you know, 2 that are playing, that are young, but playing in professional ranks, and Darryl with the experience here in the States, playing 3 good, strong center backs. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, and then I know that some may be pushed into the 6. I know Darryl Jr. has been looked at in the 6. So it's going to be very interesting to see, you know, what route he takes during this time frame as we go forward.
And so we're hoping that we get some productivity from the wing backs, the outside wing backs, to join in the attack, get overlapping runs, get some crosses in, get playing in behind. So I'm hoping to see some good football, some good attacking football coming from our defenders.
Yeah, again, one of the key things that I've noticed about this group is everyone is very technical. So we have a very technical group, very players that have good ball movement, good work on the ball. The issue is going to be, can the coach get them to gel together and work together and make this happen?
They've been together since February the 11th, February 11th for the most part. So you've had enough time to hopefully get some pieces together. So we'll see how he meshes. Let's move on into the midfield. Midfield, Adelson Belizaire from Baltimore in Haiti, Alexander Jerome Champagne from Temple University, Belmar Joseph Villanova, Clifford Louis Jean from Violette in Haiti, and Kerry Miposon Carrière from FC Solution in Haiti. And lastly, we have LeBron, who's from Exefoot in Haiti. So technical midfield, as you mentioned, very technical, good on the ball, very skillful. Now it's going to see who's going to be the players that has the leadership to play in that 6 role, to be the general, and then who's the playmaker that's going to facilitate. And again, another one of your players, Belmar Joseph, is playing in the middle, and I think he's impressed, you know, Coach Jean-Baptiste as well. But he's pretty solid in the midfield, who could play 6, 8, or 10.
It's going to be interesting to see which position he gives him. Will he be 6? I'm leaning more towards the 8 or 10. But we'll see. You know, Belmar is also a product of Cedar Stars Academy here in New Jersey. And at Villanova, he's now first year freshman at Villanova, but he has loads of experience. Played overseas. He was actually at PSG when he was younger. You know, so again, a player that's going to really shock a lot of people. He, in my opinion, is going to be one of the players to watch during this whole tournament as a playmaker. But the other players that are there, particularly those that have been playing over in Haiti, LeBron is a very good technical player, very good with his feet, very good lungs. He runs runs as an engine. So this midfield is going to be pretty strong. You know, if we can, again, get tactically on the same page, whatever the coach's game plan is, if they can all be on the same page, I think we're going to see some good stuff out of this midfield.
All right. So let's move on up to the attackers. We have Brian Destin from Inter Miami in USA, Carl Laurent, who's coming from Unterrath from Germany, Christopher Jean-Francois from Miami FC, and Isaiah Louis from Athlone Town, and Seth Powder from Real Monarchs in USA. And lastly, we have Van Schmidt-George, who's in Inter Miami as well. And so an attacking line with some speed, with some pace, some finishing power. You know, Brian Destin is one of the standout players that I'm sure they're looking forward to being over in Inter Miami. So, but Brian Destin and George Van Schmidt, who's both of them playing in Inter Miami, is going to be an interesting situation, being that they've been in that environment where the whole Beckham movement is happening, Messi is coming, and so being in that environment with winners is now coming to this national team. Is hopefully they can bring some of that winning attitude.
Yeah, Brian Destin, his is also his second stint with the U20.
His second U20. Okay,
so he did the U20 as a younger player, and actually played well there. So this is second time around, a little bit more experience, so he can kind of help the younger players and guide them through and let them know what to expect. So I think that's going to come a long way. And as you stated, you know, being at Inter Miami, having to be able to train with the first team, from what I was told, he's actually trained with Messi and those guys. So just that alone does something to your psyche.
You should be confident. You should have a level of confidence to want to come back here. And so hopefully he's one of the leaders that will lead the team. You know, but we can't forget about, again, another Etienne soccer player that's come through and who plays at Real Monarchs in the USA. Seth Powder, I think, is going to be someone that we have to keep our eye on, his strength and power. Here's someone who had dual citizenship, actually 3 citizenship. He could play for USA, could play for Trinidad and Tobago, and could play for Haiti. His older brother played for both older brothers have already been cap-tied to Trinidad, but he chose to come to Haiti. And some argue he's one of the bright spots or a good attacking player that could potentially succeed his brothers, you know, but he chose Haiti. So I think that's a huge step in the right direction.
Again, one of his brothers is actually the captain of the senior squad for Trinidad in the last Gold Cup, or the last stint run for the Gold Cup, World Cup qualifiers. And then the other brother, Samori, did the U20s, U23s. And he's on his way to signing a pro contract. So he comes from a football family. They've been in that environment, or came from the Red Bull Academy over at Cedar Stars Academy in New Jersey. And then now he's chose Haiti over USA and over Trinidad. But the key thing with this player, he's very good on the ball, very strong, very fast, good 1v1 skill, but he's tough. He does the dirty work as a defender. From one of the preseason game, or one of the friendly matches that they had, he actually played right back. You know, and he actually can.
So he's versatile,
multifaceted type player. So that's another player that we're going to be looking at to see them. You know, will coach be able to give them a starting spot, or will he just come in and make? Either way, he's going to be an impact player.
I think this is a very well balanced team of players who play in Europe, players who play in Haiti, players who play in the States. So this is for me what the national team should look like. That you have the best of the best. So the best players in Haiti, you know, we have to bring them in. The best players in the States, we have to bring them in. The best players in Europe that are playing at good levels, you have to bring them in. So this seems like a very well balanced team. And now Coach Angelo has to now find the chemistry and find the cohesion to find out the right lineup, so that we can come out here and represent.
You said something early on that, you know, they were able to get a few games in, and I think 2 was pretty good. I don't think it's enough, in my opinion. I think that with this
better than none.
Group, I agree. But with this type of group, you need a couple of more games to see, especially when you have players, and majority of these players can play multiple positions.
All right. So you can move some pieces around.
So,
but not with only 2 games.
But with 2 games, it's like, whoa. So I'll play a player at center back, but he can also play in the 6. You know, which is he better at? You won't really know unless you're having multiple games. Now, but to be fair, there were some inter squad matches where they had a few 11v11 with the group, and so
playing each other.
So that's sort of like another 2 games. So if you add it up, there's 4 11v11 games. so the coach is able to manage and see which players play where, and he's coming up. So now we got 2 more days, and these players are going to be playing against Cayman Islands.
Coach Angelo has shown his success at this youth national team level with the U17s, then called to the U20s at the last cycle, and then now called back again for the U20s. And so the Federation has confidence in him that he can lead this group. And I think this is a special group that, for me, I think that we should be going for it.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? What do you think the formation is going to be? What do you think the game plan is going to be?
At this point, I have no information. I've even talked to my son, and he's refusing to give me any information about it. He says, "No, you're going to tell everybody on the podcast." So we're not getting no information about the formations or anything like that yet. But again, from what he did say, they've experimented with multiple formations.
Yeah.
So I don't know what is going to be where they're going with it. Again, we don't know who the starting lineup is going to be yet. So it's going to be interesting. But I will say that the starting group and the substitutions that will come in will all be high quality and probably the best that we've seen at the U20 level for Haiti,
which is very, very, exciting, and we're in expectation of it. And for me, what's interesting is seeing the difference of the technical ability of the men versus with the women on the U20 side or the U17 side, that you can see that where we need more work on the technical side. But here, this is just only 2 years older than U17, and everyone here on the men's side is technical and they're sound, and so I think that this is, like you mentioned, one of the most well-rounded groups in terms of playing ability and players that have what it takes to really be at a real national team. So where this doesn't look like this is some youth group, or it doesn't look like this is a club team. This is a national team with players balanced from all over, and we're gonna show what we can do on this stage. So who are we playing against?
We're playing against Cayman Islands. We play against St. Kitts and Puerto Rico. Friday at 3 p.m. is the game against Cayman Islands. Now here I got some stats on the U20 rankings for the men, and we have U.S. as number 1, Honduras is number 2, Mexico at 3, Panama at 4, Costa Rica 5, Dominican Republic 6, Guatemala 7, El Salvador 8, and Haiti is number 9. Okay,
who's 10?
Number 10
Cuba.
is going to be Cuba, but we'll be playing against Cayman Islands first. Cayman Islands, St. Kitts is ranked number 20 in their rack. So based on the stats alone, when we play St. Kitts in our second game on Sunday, that should be,
Cayman Islands not even ranked.
Yeah, Cayman Islands is not even in here yet. So
they're not even ranked in there. So
it's definitely goes in our favor to take on.
But what we learned from the women's team is you can't sleep on anybody. You can't take anyone for granted. So if these teams, Cayman Islands and St. Kitts, and who else? Who's the last?
And Puerto Rico.
If Cayman Islands, St. Kitts, and Puerto Rico on paper are lesser quality, then we have to dominate and show it.
Exactly.
We cannot drop the level. We cannot make the game interesting. We can't just sit there and just go through the motions because we have time and we know we better. We have to go in there from the opening whistle to set the tone and express our quality, impose our game, dictate the game from the beginning. And if they're weak, then we have to dominate them.
Right. Yeah.
If they're strong, then we have to battle with them.
Right.
But there's no reason that we should go and just bow down and take it easy.
And so based on the statistics, yes, these teams are behind us. But what they're doing, and a lot of the CONCACAF teams are starting to do now, is get players from outside of
so
the
they're
islands.
Following what Haiti has done.
Exactly.
So what Haiti has done over the last few years has been able to find those key players who are playing in other countries and they have passports, they have the nationality, so they get them in there. So now Puerto Rico has done that.
Puerto Rico has done that. So they have players that are playing in the MLS Next, that are playing in universities, and some playing overseas. Same thing with Cayman Islands. They have players that have been playing in the MLS Next, which is the highest league of youth soccer up to U19 in America. And so players are leaving MLS Next and going straight to the pros or into
the first team,
the first and second teams. So, and then the same thing with St. Kitts. So a lot of them are starting to get other players from the island as well as outside of the island to strengthen their rosters. So it's not going to be a walk in the park,
Right.
but I still feel with this group and the type of players and experience they have, it should be a good games for us, and we should actually advance through and make it to the final rounds over in June.
That's the goal. The goal is to make it to the championship, the finals, way down there in this summer. But we can't look past that. We have to take care of business on Saturday.
Friday is the first game, and then Sunday is the second, and then Tuesday will be the last game against Puerto Rico. I think Puerto Rico is going to be the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
But like you said, we got to go straight for Cayman Islands first.
Cayman Islands,
one game at a time.
First.
Here's the thing for me is Coach Angelo is going to really have to do what he can to get the players to be on the same page. Because when you have a lot of technical players and these guys are alpha males,
everybody wants the ball.
Everybody wants the ball. Everybody was the man at their teams. Everybody, and he has to deal with the egos and be able to get them become one at this stage. That's not easy.
But that's the sign of a good manager,
right?
Who's able to manage the team. It's one thing for the X and the O's, the tactics.
Right.
It's one thing to get tactics, but it's a whole nother thing to get into the mind of the players, the psychology of the players, to get them to be on the same team. Can you manage the ego of a player who thinks that I'm the guy, and a player who's good but he's shy? How do you get these guys to match together? So Coach Angelo Jean-Baptiste, he's the man for the job, and so we'll see how he makes this happen. So
we're looking forward to it. I really think that this is a good opportunity for him as a coach, as well as the players, just to be catapulted and pushed to the next level. I believe we have a lot of good players on this team, and they're going to showcase their talent. And Haiti's going to be the team to watch in this tournament, and when they get to the final tournament and of the final round of the World Cup qualifiers in June. So it's going to be interesting, but they're going to have to bring it, as you said. If they come together as one team, if Coach Angelo can get them together as one team early on and be united, I guarantee you,
Union fait la force. All right. So we know what our motto is. So this Friday at 3:00 is the first match: Haiti U20 versus the Cayman Islands. So we need you to tune in, and we'll cheer the boys on. And I believe that this is going to be the start of a good weekend for us. Friday and Sunday are the matches, and so if we get off to a good start, we should be smooth sailing. All right. So we'll see you next time for the recap after Friday's game here on Selection Nacional Live.